exchanger. Seems like nobody knows how to do it. So I've done it maybe 4 times now, and the first time I struggled like everybody else. And then, you know, it got easier every time until I finally figured it out. But let's talk about why it's so hard first. For some reason, Infiniti does not include any bleeders on for the heat exchanger and its coolant system, nor the engine coolant. And if you go into the FSM, it just tells you it gives you a fill rate. I think if I remember correctly, for the engine coolant, it's 2 liters a minute. You know, however you measure that, I don't know. You fill it 2 liters a minute. And then for the charge air cooler, it's 3 liters a minute. However you measure that. In other words, fill it as slow as possible. And then it tells you to do some stuff with Consult. So, you know, Consult is Nissan's, you know, diagnostics tool, and it tells you to turn on the water pump, or for your red sport guys, water pumps plural. I gotta poke at the premium and the silver sport guys. Sorry. And turn on the water pumps or pumps to full drive using Consult. But most of us don't have access to Consult, so you know, it's taking people a week or sometimes 2 weeks to fully bleed their system. And you know, that's what happened to me the first time. It took me about a week. But by the 4th time, I figured out something that was obvious. You can, usually when you're bleeding something, you want to bleed from the highest point. And usually you would have bleeders up here at the highest point, but for some reason Infiniti doesn't have it on there. So what you can do is you can bleed from the main hose right here. And I'm gonna get the camera a little closer to show that. All right, I got the camera closer so we can see. This is the main hose where it pumps, after it goes to the heat exchanger, everything is pumped up into your charge air coolers from here. So what you do is you disconnect this clamp, pull it down, and then you partially disconnect this from the charge air cooler. You disconnect it just enough to where you can get some air to come out as you're bleeding. And then the other trick is, like, how do you get the pumps to come on? What I discovered, I happen to have access to a OEM level diagnostic tool, and when you rev the engine, the pumps will come on. That's all you need to do is rev the engine. So if you have somebody else with you, you can get them to rev the engine up a couple of times, and then the pumps will go to full drive. And you know, you already filled up your coolant in here, rev the engine a little bit while you got this cracked, and then you'll see the coolant drop. And then let it sit for a second, rev the engine, fill it back up, rev the engine again, let the coolant drop. And you keep repeating that process while you have this partially open. And, you know, put something here to catch a little bit of fluid that's going to drip, you know, some thick towel or something to catch it. But you keep doing that until eventually this is not gonna, the reservoir is not gonna drop anymore. So the process is break open this partially, you know, have this already filled up as slow as possible and get it up to max line. Have either you or somebody else run over here and rev the engine a couple times, 2 or 3 times, to get the pumps running. And they'll stay on for maybe 4 or 5 seconds, and before it realizes the car is back idle, and then it'll bring it back down to its normal. I think it's like 30-something% duty cycle, and then it ramps up to like 80-something% duty cycle, not 100%, which is odd. But anyway, so crack this open, have somebody rev, watch the coolant go down, let it sit for a second, fill back up the coolant, somebody rev, and then until the coolant finally stops coming down. And that's the way I've done it on what, the third or fourth try I did it. I had the whole thing bled within maybe 30, 35 minutes or so. I was bled, ready to go. No loss in power like you see people, oh, I lost all this power after, you know, putting on a new heat exchanger. So hopefully that will help a lot of people with bleeding. It's not gonna take you no week to bleed the car, no. I think after doing this, maybe, you know, of course keep an eye on it, but I think I might have had to add one time after doing it this way. So I would say it probably gets bled 80, 90%, probably 90% bled just by bleeding air from here. All right, hope that helps some people.